I thought Weston was part of the board.
Did you see the switcher up there? I just connected this camera to it. So let me show you this here. So let's see if it do it. Connect to a camera. Yeah, so it's gonna send it again. Let's tap source. Let's go with sources. We got a new source. Video source, multi-view, video source. Switch cloud. For us to save. This is logo. Y'all's logo need to be in this, so y'all can add it to the lower third. But there is, why doesn't it say something about the actual camera? Okay, so let's see if it's showing. It says add source. Connect by URL. Where is that at? No. It says connect by URL. I don't think you. No, we don't need that one. Video.
A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the Phoenix Center for the Arts, you're tuned to KRD. Man, I don't know.
A couple minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be able to do it right now. But
Just record it regular.
yeah, just put it up there. I'll try.
You trying to switch it? Just record it like that, and then just press the record button, put it up there. Hopefully it's good.
Are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Desert Soul Media and its board of directors. Thank you for listening.
This week on the Keep 1 Million show, NBA playoffs is in full effect, and Draymond Green is suspended. Again, we're going to talk about that. Kawhi Leonard is out again. We're also going to talk about that. And we're also going to get into Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, the first mega fight of this year. Talk about who's going to come away with a victory. Both fighters are predicting knockouts. We're also going to get into the NFL draft, and some people are talking about CJ Stroud very negatively. We're going to get into that, and we're going to get into a lot more from the past week. So keep it locked right here on the Keep It 1 Million show.
You make me feel so good.
Keep 1 Million show. 6 years. 6 years. 6 years. Doing this. 6 years in the game. And our annual NFL draft special is upon us. You know, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, 1 and 2. Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama, number 3. Anthony Richardson, number 4. Devin Witherspoon, number 5. Those are your top 5 picks. And everyone talking bad about CJ Stroud. Hey, he's number 2 pick. So people thought about he was going to go all the way down to 11. Obviously, it didn't happen. This whole Will Levis situation didn't happen, where he was going to move all the way up to the top 5. That didn't happen as well. He still hasn't been picked yet. Now Washington at 16 may pick him because they do not have a quarterback, as far as a viable quarterback to get them through. And want you guys to go on YouTube as well, subscribe to KRDP, and we're live on that channel as well, as far as Keep 1 Million Show on Instagram Live. Keep it locked right here. We'll be on in a little bit. You say you're on 2?
Yeah, mine too.
If you want to listen to the music that we have playing, go to 90.7 FM if you're in the Phoenix, Mesa area, or go to listen, the number 2, KRDP.com. That's listen, the number 2, KRDP.com. Seconds. Good.
Been waiting for a long time, but we ain't gonna wait no more. We're getting ready to rock and roll. We're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Keep it 1 Million Show. We're live. I'm Dwayne,
Sean B.
and it is the NFL Draft, and we're talking C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and the top picks in this year's 2023 NFL Draft. And like I said, Bryce Young goes number 1 to the Carolina Panthers. Number 2 is C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. Number 3 is Number 3 is Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama. Also to the Texans. They actually traded with the Arizona Cardinals. And number 4 is Anthony Richardson from Florida going to the Colts. Number 5 is Devin Witherspoon from Illinois going to Seattle. Number 6 is Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State going to the Cardinals. Number 7, Tyree Wilson, defensive end of Texas Tech, going to the Raiders. Number 8, Bahan Robertson from Texas, the running back, going to Atlanta Falcons. Number 9, Jalen Carter from Georgia, going to the Eagles. And number 10, Darren Wright, offensive tackle from Tennessee, going to the Chicago Bears. Now, the big name on that top 10 list is Jalen Carter, who was going to be a top 5 pick until the reports come out about after Georgia's national championship victory. He, had a car accident in a race that actually caused a death. And I was really thinking personally that, he was going to go further down than 9, and the Eagles picked him up. Sean, as an Eagles fan, how great is this pick?
It's a good pick. I like the pick, even though I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I'm gonna just say Robinson, that went to Atlanta. That's who the Eagles were looking at. I was excited about that pick, but he got snatched up right before we can get to him. And Jalen Carter, it's a good pick because we lost Hargrave, or is it Hargrove? We lost him to San Francisco. So that I know. I mean, he's a rookie, and you don't expect a rookie to replace a seasoned veteran, but this is a good pick that's a bona fide threat on that line. So we shall see. I'm satisfied with the pick.
Yeah, he is basically being called the best player in the draft. Him and a couple others. We're actually doing live picks. And number 15 with the Jets is Will McDonald, outside linebacker from Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get back to the Jets because the Jets, brought in Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so that pick 15 used to be the 13th pick from Green Bay. Green Bay picks up Lucas Van Nuys from Iowa, defensive end. And number 16, Washington Commanders get Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State, their cornerback.
Yeah.
Number 17 is another cornerback from Oregon, Christian Gonzalez. He is considered the second best cornerback in the draft. Emmanuel Forbes, the third best cornerback in the draft. So you see defensive players being picked in their first 15 picks in the draft, mainly because of these teams lack defensive presence, lack wide receiver stoppage. These are the teams that are the tops at points per game against. They're at tops of yards per game against. And this is why you have defense of tackles, cornerbacks this is literally 3 cornerbacks in the top 17 in the draft, which I haven't seen that in a long time. Usually you see a run on offensive linemen, a run on defensive linemen, but this run on cornerbacks is kind of interesting. Also, a run on defensive ends. Also, you have Tyree Wilson. You also have Lucas Van Nuys. You also have Jalen Carter is a defensive tackle. But you could probably move him to defensive end as well. He could probably go a 3-4, 4-3. I mean, he's that special. Will Anderson, an offensive linebacker. The Texans need everything. So they get quarterback, they got defensive line, and the thing is, going back to these trades, the Cardinals traded down twice. They traded down to 6. They traded down with the Texans, then traded back up to 6 and get an offensive tackle in Parrott Johnson. So they're trying to keep Kyler Murray upright.
Yes, sir.
Right? You give Kyler Murray all that money, and you need somebody to keep him upright as far as offensive linemen and a running game, right? Because you don't want him running around like the way he does. The thing is an issue, which I think they're trying to really keep this person in house, is DeAndre Hopkins. There is rumors DeAndre Hopkins could be traded in this draft, possibly to Tennessee, possibly to the Ravens. We're going to talk about the Ravens heavily later on in this broadcast. Do you think DeAndre Hopkins is going to get traded today, tomorrow? Do you think he's going to get traded at all?
If he gets traded, it'll probably be sometime tomorrow. They'll do it. I believe they want to keep him there because that is Kyler Murray's security blanket. I mean, Kyler Murray really hooked up a lot. So I don't think they want to see that man leave. They're trying to build a winning team and a winning culture.
And remember, DeAndre Hopkins was suspended 6 games, so he missed
he
that
was.
time last season with Kyler Murray. So
And still had a good season.
yes, of course he did. But the thing is, you have him, you have other players in the Cardinals that want to be traded. You know, Buda Baker, he went on social media saying he wanted to be traded. So
Yeah, they were talking to Philly about
right.
that.
So the Cardinals making these moves, you got to think like, are they making moves to get more draft capital to make a big deal, either a Buda Baker deal or a DeAndre Hopkins deal? And I'm going to get into DeAndre Hopkins right now because the big deal just got made earlier as Lamar Jackson finally gets a 5-year deal with the Ravens for $260 million. I think it's $185 million guaranteed. And then right before that, 2 weeks ago, they bring in Odell Beckham Jr. This is a player that Lamar Jackson wanted. He had his list, like I said last week. You know, Aaron Rodgers said he didn't make a list. He probably did. And Lamar Jackson made a list, and he's getting that list. And the next person on his list is DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
So you have Odell Beckham on one side, DeAndre Hopkins on the other side. You have your top tight end in the middle. I mean, come on. That's a Super Bowl contending team.
And they got a real good running game.
Right. My question is, do they have the pieces to make this trade? Because, okay, you give up $18 million to Odell Beckham. You do this deal that you should have did this deal months ago, if not years ago, with Lamar Jackson, $185 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
This trade, and you see what the Cardinals are making these moves, this potential trade possibly to the Ravens or the Titans, what compensation does the Ravens have to give the Cardinals to bring in DeAndre Hopkins? That's my question, because, you know, you see the Cardinals getting draft picks, getting draft capital to possibly make more moves. And it looks like they're willing and dealing. They're really the only team right now that's willing and dealing in the draft in the first round. Do you think the Ravens have what it takes to bring in DeAndre Hopkins via trade?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen people work. With less. They just have to give up a lot of draft capital, a lot of draft picks to get them. I'm not even going to say a lot.
late draft picks are here, you know, are kind of, hey, if you're willing to win now, you're going to give up your future, i.e. the LA Rams, i.e. the San Francisco 49ers. You're willing to give up the future for now. And if they want to win now, the Ravens, since you have your quarterback finally in place, there's no more drama with that. You have a pseudo number one wide receiver. You have your top running game in place. Granted, if they're 100% healthy, you have a good to great defense in place. What more can you do? I would say give up these draft picks, third, fourth rounders, whatever you can give up right now to the Cardinals, because the Cardinals need everything. If they give up DeAndre Hopkins and Buda Baker wants out, they're going to need everything. They're going to need all the draft capital they can get to replace those players. Buda Baker's their best player, bar none. Over anybody in the offense, anybody in the defense, Buda Baker's their best player. And if they have to trade him, they're going to need so much draft capital right now and next season.
Yep. Buda Baker's that guy. Tough. It's real tough. I mean, you hate to be the franchise that people want to leave.
Right. Detroit just drafted Jack Campbell out of Iowa, inside linebacker, the number 2 inside linebacker in this draft. we're going to talk about the Lions because the Lions last season had a great season, surprisingly great season, and they can only go up from here, and they're making moves. They're making moves in this draft. You know, they had number 12 pick Jamar Gibbs, the running back from Alabama. Then number 18, they get an inside linebacker to shore up their defense. You know, with Hutchinson over there from Michigan, who was, you know, right up there as a top rookie of the year candidate. We're going to talk about that more, the NFL draft more, when they come right back. The Keep 1 Million Show. Good?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And we're back to Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne. And I got Sean with me.
Yes, sir.
And we're talking NFL draft. Like I said, number 1, number 2 pick, Bryce Young, number 1. 2, the Panthers. Number 2, CJ Stroud to the Texans. Will Anderson also goes to the Texans. Anthony Richardson goes to the Colts. Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois, goes to Seattle. Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State, offensive tackle, goes to the Cardinals. And Tyrese Wilson, Texas Tech defensive end, goes to the Raiders. Those are your top 7 picks. We came down all the way to number 18 right now is Jack Campbell of Iowa, inside linebacker. He gets drafted to the Detroit Tigers. And right now, number 19, the Bucks pick Kajai Casey from Pittsburgh, defensive tackle. He is the number 2 position ranked player, 20th overall, 6'1", 281 pounds, out of Pittsburgh. Defensive tackle. And if you know about Pittsburgh, about the Bucks, they're getting long in the tooth after, you know, Tom Brady retires. You have Leonard Fournette over there. You have on the defensive side of the ball, you have some players that are pretty, you know, a little bit up there. You know, they made their run, the Super Bowl run, and now it's time to reload. Do you think, you know, the Bucks can make some draft picks, you know, that can go in their favor as far as, you know getting them back to the playoffs?
They can make some picks. I mean, they may be able to get it into the playoffs, but that division is weak. So, I mean, you can have a losing record and win that division. So they'll be able to get in the playoffs, but they're not gonna get a Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl when Brady got there. They got to, I believe it was the NFC Championship game the next year, right?
Yes.
And that next year after the Super Bowl run, and then that was it. It was done right there. So now it's time to retool.
Right. It is time to retool, and we all know You have Todd Bowles as the head coach, so he's going to go defense. And defense wins championships, especially in the NFL. So next you have Seattle at 20. 21 is the Chargers. 22 is the Ravens. Next you have Minnesota. Then Jacksonville. Then the Giants. After them, the Cowboys. After them, Buffalo. Then the Bengals. Then the Saints. Then the Eagles. And last, Kansas City. And the draft is in Kansas City. So, just want to move on before we're going to keep our eye on the NFL draft since it's live. And another live score, we have the Celtics and Hawks. Celtics are up 3-2 in this first round series. It's tied at 104 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And
close game.
Very close game. The Hawks kind of try to make it a series, and this may be the end to the Hawks if Boston survives this series. They'll play against the Philadelphia 76ers. On the other side of that bracket is the New York Knicks versus the Miami Heat. Now, if anybody, NBA historian, would think that you went back to the 1990s, but it is 2023. It is the first time that the New York Knicks made it to the second round in 10 years. The Miami Heat, on the other hand, has been to the NBA Finals in 2020, has been to the Eastern Conference Finals last season, and is like one shot away from making it to the NBA Finals last season as well. Jimmy Butler has turned to playoff Jimmy buckets, Hemi buckets. 56 points a game ago. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks 4-1. This only the sixth team in NBA history to beat a eighth seed to beat a number one seed. Do you think Miami can make it to the finals again?
This has been a wide open year for both conferences, the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, wide open. And Jimmy, seeing him play like this just hurts because I remember when Philly had him. It's like, man, a lot of people believe that Philly just let him walk. Philly didn't just let him walk. They offered him the max, okay? Philly didn't just let him walk. Some other line, it was some things there.
He wanted his own team.
He wanted his own squad and everything.
He got his wish. He
would have balled with Embiid. He would have stayed for Embiid. He would have stayed with that. But it was other things there. It is like that he wasn't really feeling. So he walked and everything. So, but Jimmy he's killing it, and I can see them going to the championship. I mean, they took out Milwaukee. Milwaukee did have a hurt Giannis. But Giannis did still score I think he had 32 points last night.
Right.
Something like that. He still had he missed a lot of foul shots.
The thing is everybody's hurt.
Yeah.
You miss games, you come back and play, and I would give credit to the Bucks because they played injured. They played their heart out. And granted, they only won one game in the series, which is, to me, is so surprisingly. They just didn't have it. Jimmy just took over, him and Bam Adebayo, on the offensive glass and defensive glass, just took over the game. But that was my team to make it to the finals was the Bucks. And the thing is, I think they need to get younger after this season. They're going to have to look in the draft or free agency because you have Antetokounmpo, you have Middleton, your superstars, you have Drew Holiday, but where's your bench? You know, you don't have a young, energetic bench to give Giannis a spell, to give Middleton, you know, a few minutes, and still be in the game. Because when they're not in the game, they're so negative as far as plus minus that, you know, they go out of the game and Jimmy Butler or Duncan Robinson starts hitting threes and you're down, you know, 10 points before they come back in the game. So that's the Bucks' problem is they need a bench scoring just like a lot of other teams do. When you see the Knicks-Cleveland series, the Knicks, you know, they destroyed them on the boards. They destroyed them on the bench as well. And defensively, you know, they were just more physical than the Cavaliers. And they're a lot young, and the Cavs are a lot younger. And I wouldn't want to say immature, but they need some growing to do as far as you know, Jared Allen and Mobley. They need to get in the weight room because Mitchell Robinson was throwing them around. I mean, he had more offensive boards than the whole team combined. And then they had no bench. Cleveland has zero bench. So you need a bench. You need at least two players off the bench to at least score in double figures coming into in the playoffs. Now on the Western Conference side of it, you have a great series in Golden State and Sacramento.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a heck of a series.
Yeah. You know, it's 3-2 Golden State right now. You have, you know, Draymond Green with his antics, but he kind of slowed that down, especially in the last game. They won 123 to 116. And they're going back to San Francisco to try to most likely close it out. Can you see Golden State if they beat, upset the Kings, because the Kings is the number 2 seed? Can they go on a run and make it to the finals?
I wouldn't consider that an upset. I mean, I know they're number 2 seed,
right,
but I had Golden State winning this series anyway. I had Golden State winning this series in 6 because Golden State was way more experienced. For Sacramento to have won this series, they would have had done one last night.
Yeah.
And losing at home was terrible. To a team that's a bad road team, they lost out, and they're a veteran team.
The worst road team in NBA history, mind you.
And they lost that game in Sacramento. Now you got to go back to San Francisco on their home court and win. Do you really believe that Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson is going to let that happen when they got to go back to Sacramento? It's not going to happen. They're closing it out. They closing it out.
And also, another team that needs to close out is the Lakers against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies beat the Lakers 116-99. Getting that series 3 games to 2. It was 3 games to 1, and the Lakers could have closed it out in Memphis. Now they have to go back to LA to close it out. The winner of that plays the winner of the Warriors Kings. So it could be NoCal versus SoCal, Warriors versus the Lakers in the next round.
Yeah. Lakers are gonna close it out at home.
Yeah. And this is a crazy thing to say, what I'm about to say. LeBron James needs to step up. LeBron James had a terrible game last game.
Think so?
Yeah, he really did.
Oh yeah.
He only had 15 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 1 for 9 in 3-pointers.
Oh, he's never been a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah, 5 for 17 on the field. Anthony Davis, 31 points, 19 rebounds.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's in 35 minutes. Austin Reeves was 17 points. So the thing is, yeah, I think he tried to take a game off and thinking everyone was going to just, lift him up to win that game, but it didn't happen because you had, Desmond Bain scoring 30 and Ja Morant scoring 31.
Yeah.
So LeBron is going to have his A game at home to close them out because, like you said, a veteran team, they know what to do in his playoffs. And this was the weird thing about the Western Conference when you had these veteran championship caliber teams on the bottom, and you have these young upstart teams on the top. You know, it's going to be some. It may be some upsets. The thing is with the Kings and the Grizzlies, you got to strike. You got to strike while the iron is hot, because you don't know when you're going to get this next chance. Maybe your next chance is when Steph retires or when LeBron retires, and they have to go in the draft and get younger, but you have a core ready to go. You know what I mean? So the Grizzlies been here for the past 3 seasons, going deep into the playoffs. You know, going to the Western Conference Finals. You know, going, in the past 2 to 3 seasons. Now they're on the verge of losing in the first round because of what? Like, that's the question. If they lose in this round, why did they lose?
With the Grizzlies?
Yeah, I mean that's a legitimate question to ask. Why did the Grizzlies lose this series when you have an aging team that obviously regular season you're better, you're number 2 seed, they're a number 7 seed, but when you have Dylan Brooks who can't shoot, you don't have Steven Adams who's your big man, your number 1 big man. You only have Ja Morant, and Desmond Bane is kind of, hot and cold. He can give you a lot of points, but who else is there? But when you're the best team at home, and you have a couple of all-stars on your team, there's something missing with the Memphis Grizzlies that if they lose this series, they have to find that. Because if they don't, it's going to be hard for them to get anywhere past the first or second round in these playoffs.
I actually didn't have them getting past the Lakers. I believe that LeBron could get the Lakers past them. I don't know exactly what they can do. I mean, just make shots. I mean, Dylan Brooks just make shots, but Dylan Brooks never been that like a shooter. Never been a shooter.
There's rumors Dylan Brooks hits his last year of his contract. It's rumors he's gone because of his antics and how he plays the game is not conducive to winning. It's conducive to drama. I mean, Draymond Green, he does the drama, but next thing you know, he drops 20 points on you. Or he has 10 assists,
13 boards.
Right. 5 points, 10 assists, 13 boards, 3 blocks.
2 steals, 4 steals.
Exactly.
Like that.
So he's there. He's doing a lot more than just running his mouth or collecting technical fouls. Desmond, Dylan Brooks is just running his mouth and collecting technical fouls.
Yeah, Draymond is this generation's Dennis Rodman. So it's like, yeah, you got the antics, but he produces.
Exactly. And Dylan Brooks does not. So when you have someone who does not produce that's on the floor at this stage in the game, in the playoffs, that's not good. That's not a good look for Memphis. They're going to have to do some really retooling and get some more scoring, possibly a 3-and-D player, possibly someone who can actually, in that position, have a high percentage of shots. So Ja Morant is not exerting himself to the point where he's most likely going to get injured. How he plays, he's playing like Dwayne Wade before his first championship. Running in the back, running around and jumping from everywhere. And you remember how Dwayne Wade was playing? Like, he was like, oh my God, he's going to get injured every play. This is how Ja Morant's playing, because who else does he have? I mean, we got to really look at this. Who else does he have? So, from the outside looking in, it's like, hey, Grizzlies, y'all going to have to make some moves, because you can't be the number 2 seed losing to a Lakers team that everyone thought was just, hey, they're happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, LeBron James is going to raise that team to another level, but as a number 2 seed, getting beat by a 7, that's not a good look. You're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. You know. After this, when we come back, I'm gonna talk about the next couple of series and what they're, you know, how they're gonna play out, including the Suns versus Denver Nuggets and the Knicks versus Miami Heat.
Interesting.
And the more interesting series actually is the Suns versus Denver because of there's beef. There's beef over there.
Oh, yeah?
So
all right.
yeah, so we're gonna come right back
What's beef?
with more Keep On Million Show.
Beef is when you need 2 guns and lose. 113, 432 left in the 4th.
What happened?
113.
Oh, it's tied up. This is gonna go overtime.
This reminded me a couple of years ago when the Hawks and Celtics was going at it. When the Hawks had who they have on their squad? They had Josh Smith on their team. Right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was Josh Smith and all. Whoever else they had on there. That was, I don't know if you remember. The home team the home team never won on their court. So Boston beat Atlanta on their court. And then Atlanta beat them both times in Boston, and he was just like, yo, what's up with this? It was crazy. Forget who had home court advantage. Oh, Boston had home court advantage. They won 7 games. Boston won game 7.
Oh yeah.
But that was crazy. The Knicks and the Heat. I remember those battles back
Thanks for the comment, Louis Mo. Appreciate you.
What's up?
Yeah.
I'm saying on your mic.
Oh no. No, we're not on yet. I didn't see it. The phone is right there. I'm gonna come on right now. And we're back. Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean P.
Got Sean with me, and going with the NFL draft, which is live. The next 2 picks, the Seahawks picks Jackson Smith from Ohio State, wide receiver. This is the top wide receiver in the draft they picked. And then the Chargers pick TCU's Quentin Johnson, who is the number 4 ranked wide receiver in the draft. And the next pick after that will be the Baltimore Ravens. And like I said, the Baltimore Ravens had just paid Lamar Jackson 5-year deals, $260 million.
Yep.
There hasn't been specific details on the deal yet, but there's speculation that the guaranteed contract, the guaranteed part about it is $185 million guaranteed.
So you got like $6 million more than Jalen Hurts.
Right. Annually, he's at $52 million a year. Jalen Hurts at $51 million a year, and he did it on his own. Him and his mother. Did not have an agent. There was always this hate about him not having an agent. He didn't need one. It's always been, this problem with him and his play. As we know, he won MVP, and he's got this team in the playoffs and deep in the playoffs multiple occasions. He hasn't got over the hump with, against Kansas City or against Buffalo. But now it seems like the team is actually committed to give him players around him as far as getting Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
And in the draft, I would say in the draft, they just might get a wide receiver in this next pick once it happens, which is the 23rd pick. the 22nd pick in the first round. Now, with Sean, with this being said, as Lamar Jackson finally being taken care of and compensated, how far can they go?
You can go as far as Lamar takes him. It's but he does need some help. Need some help. They need to give him some help. But they have Odell Beckham Jr. They also have a running game. J.K. Dobbins, all them boys. They also have Lamar Jackson, who's a big part of that running game. I believe he's more than 60% of that running game. Lamar Jackson. If they could shore up the defense a little bit. Defense wasn't bad, but the defense shore it up a little bit. But you got to remember, the AFC is tough. The AFC is real tough. I mean, Kansas City, Buffalo, if you want to say San Diego, Los Angeles, and then you got Jacksonville's on the come up.
You got to think of their own division.
Huh?
You got to even think their own division.
Yeah, their own division.
The Steelers.
I was about to say the
The
Bengals,
Bengals. You know, and even the Browns with Deshaun Watson over there, and they're trying to get that team together. Deshaun Watson going to be there full time. You know, his suspension over with, and they're going to try to get that team situated as well. So the AFC North is going to be treacherous.
Yeah, and you know, they needed to get the deal done. They got the deal done. I mean, he wanted everything fully guaranteed, but I believe when his team saw what Jalen Hurts and them did, he knew he wasn't going to get that fully guaranteed deal. And what they did, they just pretty much one-up Jalen Hurts. That's all they did. Okay, we got to one-up Jalen Hurts. And they did that. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the Baltimore Ravens. They got it done. Happy for Lamar Jackson. He got his money. He proved to everybody he didn't need an agent. But there are other football players and basketball and baseball players who don't have agents as well. I believe that they just did. Everybody wanted this deal to get done, and it was just getting testy. It was just getting real nasty and everything. They just wanted to get it done, and nobody wanted. You know how it was playing chicken. Nobody wanted to look like a punk or anything like that. And I'm glad they got it done. Everybody's happy. Let's go play some football.
Right. And also the thing is, we got to shout out these black women in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
Making boss moves, making all this happen. When you say, you know, Jalen Hurts getting his money from the agent Nicole Lynn from Clutch Sports.
Yes.
She, a black woman, is the head of their NFL division in Clutch Sports. Okay,
Yes.
And then you have Lamar Jackson, who, you know, got rid of his agent years ago and had his mother do all the negotiations, and everybody went after him when it came to that, especially in this past couple months. That if he would have got an agent, this wouldn't be happening anymore, and all this, and he would have got the deal done. But they still got the deal done. So that 3%, which is equate to $7.6 million, stays in the family.
Yeah.
Like, he gave his mother $7 million. You know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. That is amazing, and I applaud him for that.
I don't have none near problem with that. I'm okay with that. No problem at all. She was able to do the deal. She was able to get the deal. She proved herself. Boom.
Right. And speaking of wide receivers, the Ravens picked Zay Flowers out of Boston College, wide receiver, the number 2 wide receiver in the draft, 22 overall. His his comparison is Elijah Moore. So this is a streaky, fast wide receiver that can probably get you chunk plays down the field.
So they got somebody who can take the top off the defense.
Exactly.
All right.
You know what I mean? So you get, instead of getting DeAndre Hopkins, which you most likely could have gotten, they ended up getting a younger version which Zay Flowers, which they can develop into a DeAndre Hopkins.
So is he like a DeAndre Hopkins type or like a Deshaun Jackson?
He says he has stellar open field vision and speed to create chunk plays. If he gets daylight after the catch, he has a second gear to get behind the coverage, track the deep ball well, flashes the ability to win 50-50 balls. He's only 5'9", 182 pounds though, so he must got some ups. He must have some real ups to not just create space, but get those 50-50 balls, especially in the end zone. I would say bring in another wide receiver and have a couple of more wide receivers in that wide receiver room to have that actual competition when it comes to OTAs and whatnot. But grabbing another wide receiver is very key in getting Lamar Jackson back comfortable with being proud and being excited to be a Baltimore Raven, because it looked like, when he talked about wanting to be traded and he requested a trade, a month before, and all that back and forth. Yeah, that could have been negotiation ploy. That could have been just head games, but it seemed like he was being genuine and he did not want to be in Baltimore anymore, which was, to me, was shocking because they're a match made in heaven, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. The only other team I can see Lamar Jackson with would be San Francisco, because that is a similar style of offense, with a similar style of players, matter of fact, an upgrade of players and a better defense. So it was really not that many teams that can actually give Lamar Jackson what he wanted, especially going deep in the playoffs. So this is the only team he can really play for, because they have focused and they have made a specific. Their team is specifically garnered around Lamar Jackson.
They tailored that
Exactly.
team around his skill set, which is what you were supposed to do. So they weren't wrong in doing that.
Right. And the Celtics
That's
are 19 seconds away
Yeah,
of beating the Hawks 126-120. Now, speaking of we'll talk about this before we go to break. The second round of NBA playoffs, let's say the Celtics pull this out. How do you see the Celtics versus the 76ers?
Boston in 6.
You got Boston beating your team?
Yeah.
Wow. Why?
Because Boston has their number. Philadelphia doesn't have the tools to beat Boston. If Philly beat Boston, that means Harden has to play like Harden in Houston. He has to be Houston James Harden. He's not that anymore. That means he has to be giving you 33 a game, 12 assists. I mean, he's not going to do that. I mean, he would have to do that, and B would still have to give you his 33, 30, 31, 32, 33. Max, everybody would have to be clicking on all cylinders on every game, and that's just not going to happen. I got Boston in 6, and sad to say they probably gonna let Doc go. I don't want them to. They probably want to let Doc go, and they gonna probably go get Antony, which is just like they those little rumors, man. You know why they call him Antony?
Yeah. Well,
but
I think the 76ers is going to give them a series.
yeah, I said in 6.
I would say 7.
7. Yeah.
Boston 7 at home. Going to the next series in the East, the Knicks and Miami. I mean, that's going back to the 90s. I mean, that's going back.
7-game series,
That's
baby.
going back. I'm
That's
thinking
gonna be
7-game series. I got to have Knicks in 7. I can't do what you did.
No,
I can't do what you did. I can't go against my team.
I wouldn't expect you to, because I got the Knicks in 7 as well. Because the Knicks got defense. They got defense.
Not just defense, but a bench.
They got the bench.
I mean, yeah, Quigley, you have coming off the bench. He was candidate for 6th Man of the Year. You have, Quentin Grimes. You have some Obi Toppin coming off the bench, who actually is playing extremely well, coming in for for Julius Randle with his injuries, and that's the really key to the series. Is if Julius Randle's 100% healthy, he did leave the game with an ankle injury that he's been nursing for weeks now, and he tweaked it again in that game 5 against the Cavs. So come I think it's Sunday, they'll play at home against Miami. We'll see if Julius Randle is starting or if he's coming off the bench or whatever, but hopefully he's healthy. And on the other side with Miami, you got Jimmy buckets, and Jimmy is the X factor of that team because he can go for 30, he could go for 40, he can go for 50, almost 60 points. He can do that. Not just that, but 10 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. He's an all-around superstar player, especially in the playoffs. So that is a scary situation to where, this series most likely can go 6-7 games. I think 7 games, and with the Knicks having that home court, I see the Knicks winning that game. Now on the Western Conference, you have the Suns versus Denver. There's beef going there between Booker and Jokic. They had words, a couple years ago. There's always a little chippiness. You have, the Denver players actually finally coming alive, but you have Kevin Durant.
KD.
How do you see that series going?
I'm gonna take Phoenix. I'm gonna take Phoenix and 7.
Okay. So you saying they're going to Denver and winning that 7 games?
Yeah.
I would say the Suns in 6.
I believe Phoenix is going to take. They'll take a game in Denver.
Okay.
But I just don't want, because Denver's a really good team. I don't want to.
Okay. I say the Suns in 6.
Okay.
The potential next series, which is not finalized yet, would be if these two teams win the Lakers against Golden State. I think that would be probably the highest rated series in NBA history. To be honest with you, you got LeBron versus Steph Curry. We haven't seen since the NBA Finals when it was, Cleveland versus Golden State in those finals.
Yeah.
That I would have to go with Golden State. They have more firepower. I would say Golden State in 6 or 7.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Golden State 6 or 7. Just that firepower. I can't see. It's nobody. They don't have anybody on the Lakers that could somewhat match that firepower. So I got Golden State in 6 or 7.
Yeah. The thing is, Steph Curry can still bust you with 30.
Oh yeah.
Klay Thompson, we still haven't seen playoff Klay yet. So that can happen. Yeah, exactly. That can happen.
Because he's been playing pretty good. So
right. We don't have Game 6 Klay yet. You know what I mean? Draymond hitting that 23-point game. He can. You know what I mean? And you have Austin Reeves over there. You have Anthony Davis. You have, D'Lo actually really playing extremely well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure who they have that can cover Steph Curry. Who on the Lakers can cover Steph Curry?
Nobody.
There's your answer right there.
Nobody can guard.
So if Steph Curry turns into Steph Curry from the NBA Finals last season, they may beat the Lakers in 5. I can see them beating the Lakers in 5.
Gentlemen's sweep. Yeah.
Mainly because of fatigue. I don't think the Lakers can make it this far. If they surprisingly beat Golden State and make it to the Western Conference Finals, I don't even know what to do. You have to just give it to them because that will be something amazing. Because when you have LeBron James basically taking the game off when they should have won that game in Memphis. You know, he's only had 15 points. I'm not sure if you can see LeBron and AD having consecutive great games against a team like Golden State. And I didn't even talk about Kuminga, you know, and their other players, you know, Gary Payton Jr. and Jordan Poole that can come off the bench and whatnot. So Golden State has a clear advantage against the Lakers. Very clear advantage.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And that's depending if those teams actually win
Yeah.
and get past Sacramento and Memphis. So
It's official, Boston, 128, 120.
yeah, there you go. So Boston versus the 76ers. And you have the Knicks versus the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference. We're going to come back. The next hour, we're going to get into Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia fight. And everyone's talking about Tank Davis being the face of boxing. We're gonna get into that, and we're gonna talk more in NFL draft. We're gonna talk more NBA playoffs, and we're gonna get into a lot more other things in this next hour. So keep it locked right here. The Keep It 1 Million Show.
Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter. No, they just
And
said
Draymond Green is suspended
best fit.
again. We're gonna
They're
talk
just saying
about
best
that.
fit for
Kawhi Leonard
Jacksonville.
is out.
For Jacksonville,
again.
Joey Porter Jr.
We're also gonna talk about that, and we're also gonna get into Tank
The
Davis
Giants are
and
picking
Ryan
right now.
Garcia, the first mega fight of this year. Talk about who's gonna
They just
come away
flipped.
with a victory.
Both
All
fighters
fighters are
I don't know when they
predicted
did that.
knockouts. We're also going to get into
So the
the
Giants
NFL draft,
picking next.
and some people are talking about
Yeah,
CJ
4 wide
Stroud
receivers in a row.
very
got
negatively. We're going to get
20,
into
21,
that,
22,
and we're
23.
going to get into a lot more from the past week. So
Who
keep
is
it locked
the,
right here on
now?
the Keep It 1 Million Show.
It definitely getting more weapons. What is that? Cornerback. Wide receiver, cornerback.
This is a long break, right?
Huh?
How much time? I'm just going to bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Be right back. Be right back.
We've been waiting for a long time. Yes, we've been waiting for a long time. We've been waiting for a long time. But we ain't gonna wait no more. We're getting ready to rock and roll. We're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4.
Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne,
Sean B.
and we're live.
Yes, sir.
It is the NFL Draft. And we've talked about these picks. The number 1 pick is Bryce Young out of Alabama to Carolina Panthers. The number 2 pick, CJ Stroud of Ohio State to the Houston Texans. Will Anderson from Alabama, offensive linebacker, goes also to the Texans in a trade. Anthony Richardson goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Quarterback from Florida, Devin Witherspoon, goes number 5. Quarterback from Illinois to the Seattle Seahawks. Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State, offensive tackle, goes to the Arizona Cardinals at number 6. Number 7, Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, defensive end, goes to the Raiders. Bijan Robinson from Texas, the running back, number 8, goes to the Atlanta Falcons. Number 9, Jalen Carter from Georgia, defensive tackle, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And Darren Wright from Tennessee, offensive tackle, number 10, goes to the Chicago Bears. Were you surprised that Jalen Carter went to the Philadelphia Eagles?
No, I wasn't surprised because when they didn't get Robinson didn't drop to him, because that's what they were looking at. And it's been reported that Robinson really wanted to play with Jalen Hurts, and Philadelphia really liked Robinson. When I saw that he went number 8 right before Philadelphia could pick him up, I was like, oh, they taking Jalen Carter. they taking it because they lost. They got to San Francisco. And they just got the best player that was available, and I believe he was rated the number 1 defensive tackle, and I believe maybe even the number 1 defensive player in the draft. So,
yes, he was. And regarded as the number 1 player in the draft.
Oh, number 1 player in the draft. Okay, so that was a no-brainer. I was like, okay, they're taking Jalen Carter, and then yeah, I'm good with that pick.
I bet you are. Being a diehard Philly fan,
Yes, sir.
and I have other people that are diehard Philly fans as well, friends of mine. So they are ecstatic for Jalen Carter to go to Georgia. If you know his off the field issues after the Georgia National Championship win, him and some players and a coach were racing in cars, drag racing.
You said him and the coach?
It was some other players and a coach,
Okay.
and ended up, crashing, and somebody died because of the crash, and he, ended up with some misdemeanor charges and whatnot. So that did drop his stock because you all know any situation that is not on the up and up is going to be scrutinized, as we also see with CJ Stroud and what some of the pundits and whatnot was talking, which was very, very unfortunate. I talked about it last week with, I think it was, what is his name he used to play for Notre Dame, and now he's,
Brady Quinn.
Brady Quinn, exactly. He said all this stuff about CJ Stroud, that his stock's going to drop and whatnot, and he wasn't good on the Wonderlic test and everything. Now he's the, number 2 pick in the draft. So he's going to get top dollar money when it comes to a rookie quarterback. So it did not affect him, but we thought it would. What it did affect is Levis. who is the best available player right now, Will Levis, quarterback from Kentucky, who everybody thought that he was going to be in that placement, replacing C.J. Stroud, probably going forward to the Colts, which we see Anthony Richardson, who we already knew was going to go high because of his play and how he did in the combine and the pro day. His stock was going to rise. So now he's all the way possibly down, maybe out of the first round, because if I'll tell you the last 5 picks in the first round right now from 20 to 25. The Seahawks get wide receiver Jackson Smith from Ohio State. Number 22, you get Quentin Johnson, wide receiver from TCU, to the Chargers. Zay Flowers from Boston College, wide receiver, goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Jordan Addison from USC, wide receiver, goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Dante Banks from Maryland, cornerback, goes to the New York Giants. And just right now, tight end Dalton Kincaid from Utah goes to the Buffalo Bills, with the next pick being the Cowboys. Now, we know the Cowboys don't need a quarterback, but do they get quarterback from Kentucky to possibly back up
They still
Des
got
Bryant?
Cooper Rush. They still
Exactly. You got
no right there.
Yes.
The Jaguars, no. Bengals, no. New Orleans.
Maybe New Orleans.
Maybe.
You know what? I think New Orleans is going to pick them up.
And then the last 2 picks of Philly.
Obviously,
Kansas City.
Philly, Kansas City, last 2 picks, no.
No.
So this guy could possibly go in the second round. Let me look at the second round. You have the Steelers,
No.
the first pick, no. The Cardinals,
No.
Detroit,
No.
the Colts, the 4th pick of the second round.
Maybe.
They just grabbed Richardson. I don't think so.
Hold on.
The 5th pick in the second round is very
sorry,
interesting.
yeah.
The 5th pick in the second round, the Rams. I would think the 5th pick in the second round, the Rams. I think, and they don't need to trade up. I think the Rams, with the 5th pick in the second round, picks Will Levis.
They saw
I'd say book it.
they
They're
got-
the only team that is actually needing another quarterback.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you have what's his name from
Stafford.
Detroit, Matthew Stafford. But how old is he? How old is Matthew
In
Stafford?
the 30s, I know that.
How long has he been in the league? At least over 15 years.
yeah, because he's playing with
From
Megatron
Detroit?
Megatron all those years, yeah.
There's rumors that him and their coach was going to retire together, and they're still there. We know he's lost a step. He got that Super Bowl win, but the next season was trash. So you're gonna need someone to sit. You need a quarterback for that next 4 to 5 years. And if you look at it, if the Rams don't pick him up in the second round, I mean, who? The Seahawks, the Raiders, Carolina.
Hold on, the Raiders.
Again,
Who's the
the Raiders
quarterback?
have Jimmy G.
Oh, that's right.
Carolina, they just picked up a quarterback. You have New Orleans again, so maybe New Orleans gets them in the second round. The Titans, maybe. Green Bay, no. The Jets, no. The Falcons, maybe. Green Bay, no. The Patriots, no. Washington at 16, the 47th pick. That's a possibility. I really don't see a path where Will Levis gets drafted, and not just in the first round, but possibly he may not get drafted in the second round.
I think he can get drafted in a second. The earliest I can see him going is number 30 to the Saints. In the first round is the earliest I can see him going. The latest I can see him going is that pick in Washington you just read off. I can see him going around there.
I would say the earliest would be the first round, the 30th pick, which would be New Orleans, and the latest would be the second round right there with Washington, because Washington, they do need a quarterback. But it's hilarious that everybody literally in the last couple of days was like, Will Levis is going to be a top 5 pick. Why? I don't understand that. Like these pundits, these media guys, these talking heads, I mean, do they know what they're talking about? Let's answer that question. Do these pundits know what they're talking about when they say something about one quarterback to lower their draft stock and that doesn't work, and then say something else by another quarterback to try to raise their draft stock and that doesn't work?
It's a crapshoot. Sometimes, I mean, some of these guys, they don't be right. It's like Mel Kiper, he's wrong sometimes. I mean, you just never know. And
Wrong sometimes. He thought what's that quarterback's name years ago was going to be a top pick, was going to be in the league for 20 years, and we haven't seen him since.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's like I mean, when you're studying this league and you're into this league, the NFL and whatnot, I mean, would you put your eggs in this basket with these pundits when it comes to, hey, okay, I have my mock draft and so has their mock draft, and maybe that person's right because he's been on TV for 20 some odd years, and next thing you know, it's all wrong.
yeah. Can't disagree with you right there.
It makes it a point where why even listen to him?
Entertainment.
It's not entertaining anymore. It was entertaining 10 years ago. It was entertaining 15 years ago. Now today, with all the knowledge everyone has, not just these these pundits. Yeah, I mean, it's not entertaining. It's like, okay, get it right. And if you can't get it right because you are the quote unquote insider that's inside of these teams and you know what's what, I don't get it. So you got pundits is basically lying to the public about what they know and what they've heard, quote unquote, and it's all wrong. And you have people having to cop pleas and apologize and try to do the blame game that we talked about last week when it comes to what happened on Twitter and all this stuff, and they're just saying talking about hearsay and not really doing the journalistic due diligence. I would want to shout out another black woman, Josina Anderson from CBS.
Yeah,
she's been hitting nail on the head after nail on the head when it comes to her insider reporting.
Yeah, Josina. I always like Josina. Even when she was with ESPN.
Yeah, when she was with ESPN.
Yeah, I like Josina a lot. I like her a lot.
She's the one who broke the story with the Lamar Jackson deal. But you have other pundits or whatever saying all this sensationalism when it comes to these players, and you wonder where is that coming from? Why? When you have someone like Will Levis, who's supposed to be a top 5 pick, he may fall out of the first round. Right now, as we speak, this guy is free falling out of the first round.
Yep, Dallas
with Dallas on the clock.
Dallas just picked Mozzie Smith out of Michigan, D tackle.
And to be honest with you, these top picks right now, these last 4 or 5 picks in the first round, they're most likely going to go defense.
More than likely, yeah.
9 times out of 10, just shore up their defense or shore up the offensive lineman. You know what I mean? See if these players can make the team, because a lot of these players in the end of the first round, they make the team, but as a second or third string, and wait their turn. But as far as a quarterback, the last 31st pick in the draft as a quarterback was Lamar Jackson. How ironic is that?
Yeah.
Now he's making, $260 million And he dropped in the draft mainly because of the pundits. Maybe he should be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Maybe he should be a running back.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts was a second round pick too. Jalen Hurts
Right.
was a second round pick. So, you just never know. You just never know, man. You just never know.
And we'll be right back with more Keep 1 Million Show.
Josina, yeah.
Hi. Can I get into the fight? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep It 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne,
Sean Fate.
and we're talking the NFL draft is live. It's close to the end of the first round here. He said Dallas had just picked. The next pick is the Jaguars. The Celtics just closed out the Hawks 128-120, winning that series 4-2. They will face the 76ers in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And gonna get into the biggest fight of the year.
Yeah.
Javante Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
A stoppage in the 7th round.
Yeah. That's what I predicted too.
Really?
Yeah, I predicted. Told y'all last week.
But you didn't
Tank-
bet.
No, I didn't bet. No.
Hey, someone I know just made $1,800 betting
Oh yeah.
on Tank Davis.
I'm not a big bet. I'm not a big
I
better.
was so upset I didn't bet.
I'm not a big better. I did it in the college basketball, but I'm not a big better like that. Like to keep doing it. I'm not
Right.
Like that.
I'm not at all, but that was kind of a surefire thing.
Yeah. I would have won a lot of money too, because I did have him stopping him in the 7th. So
Yeah. He said it himself. He's gonna knock him out in the 7th. The thing is, how he knocked him out was
body shot.
amazing because it looked like a glancing blow
A lot
to
of
the
body shots,
body, right, to the liver rib area, and it was a delay.
Yeah.
And he took a knee.
Backed up and he
Right, he
went
took
to
a
it.
knee, and he didn't get back up, and people kind of like, oh, did he, throw the fight, or
Nah.
he Ryan Garcia said there was a mole in his camp. I don't believe that either. Trying to make excuses, but everybody wanted to see the fight. It got 1.25 million internet pay-per-view buys, which is the most this year so far. Is Tank Davis the face of boxing?
Yeah, he is. This is how I looked at the fight. Tank Davis is the face of boxing. His mentor is Floyd Mayweather, and they guided him in that way. That fight, it reminded me of this fight I'm about to mention is on a whole bigger level, but it reminded me of this. It reminded me of when Canelo Alvarez fought Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather just outclassed him and everything. And then what happened was Canelo Alvarez went on and became a better fighter and just ripped off. I mean, he didn't lose a fight for like 5 years or so, or 6, 7 years, something like that. He didn't lose a fight for a long time. Like he lost last year, and in between that, he never lost a fight between that and Mayweather. So I believe this fight will make Garcia better. I wish he wouldn't make excuses or mold him up. I just take the L and get better. I do believe the loss is gonna make him better. Tank was just a better fighter, better boxer.
Right.
Here it is.
Yeah. My thing is with his face of boxing, and yeah, he's the most visible boxer. He's the most busiest boxer as far as the top fighters, pound for pound, is concerned. My thing is, for me personally, I need to see more. Let's say the Danny Lomachenko fight, the winner of that, does he fight that fighter?
I believe so.
Haney or Lomachenko. Shakur Stevenson said, hey, we need to have this fight with him against Shakur Stevenson, who's also undefeated champion. That fight would be an amazing fight.
Shakur Stevenson would have to come up, though, right?
Right.
He has to come up, right?
Right. Those two separate fights I would love to see. And my thing is, people are sleeping on Lomachenko. Do not sleep on Lomachenko.
I'm not.
Devin Haney is a great fighter, but Lomachenko is another animal that possibly can knock him out.
Lomachenko can box too.
Right, he's a boxer. He has angles. He's a technician. You know, and that fight is next month, and I really think if they can make that fight to where the winner of that fight fights Tank, Tank Davis, and we're definitely not gonna see a rematch of Davis Ryan Garcia.
No,
it's not gonna happen. But for a undisputed title fight, Haney or Lomachenko versus Tank, I think the winner of that fight is the face of boxing. I think I can honestly say that, because in the heavyweight division, yes, you have Tyson Fury about to fight Usyk. No one really knows who Usyk is. Another Ukrainian boxer who's won the title. Anthony Joshua fell off the face of the earth when he lost. You got Ruiz over there. The heavyweight division's kind of up in the air right now. Who's the actual, champion. Usyk is the champion, but people still saying that Tyson Fury is actual the real champion over there. And every other division, there's kind of speculation who's the best in that division. Even with Canelo Alvarez, he lost to Bivol, going up in that, so he's not going to go back up to super middleweight. Bivol, does he, who does he fight next? He's have Benavidez, who's he going to fight next? So, hopefully these promoters and these networks can get together and make the best fights possible, to where we have a clear cut of who's the pound for pound best. You know what I mean? Because you got to think, 10, 15 years ago, we knew who it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was Mayweather. And then Pacquiao, Pacquiao before Mayweather, Pacquiao was the pound for pound best.
Yeah, he was.
They fought each other, and, you already knew who it was.
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez, after he lost to Mayweather, he goes on this run to where he was clear cut the pound for pound number one fighter
Yes, he was.
in the world. And now it's up in the air to me. Who is the number one pound for pound? Who is the number one pound for pound fighter?
Yeah.
You have all these people say different opinions and whatnot. Right now, the face of boxing is Gervonta Tank Davis. Like I said, I think I need one more super fight out of him to make him the actual the actual pound face of boxing, or pound for pound best. At one point they had Lomachenko at pound for pound when he won, and he was only had 16 fights. I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah, I never considered
what I mean?
pound for pound best, but yeah.
So it's always opinions and whatnot, but at the same time, we have to get the best fighters fighting against each other. This Crawford or Spence is definitely not on the table anymore. You have all these other fights that could possibly happen and possibly not happen. So boxing, they got to get it together. Boxing as a whole has to get it together, and also even the officiating has to get together, because Tank Davis knocks down Ryan Garcia in the second round. Right? Clear cut knockdown. Could have been a knockout in the second round. And there's a judge that judged that round a 10-10 round. How is that even possible when we all know, anybody knows, a knockdown is 2 points. It's a 10-8 round.
Yeah.
So when you have something like that, you already know someone wanted Ryan Garcia to win to the point where these refs are cheating. And luckily it didn't get to that point where you get to the judges' scorecards, and you're looking at like, oh my God, it's a draw. How is that even possible? He got knocked down, and he got knocked down in this round too. How is that even possible? So those two things need to be addressed. The judges need to be addressed, which never happened in the 150 years boxing's been here.
Yeah.
The judges have never been addressed. And also the promoters and the fighters, do you guys want to fight the biggest fights? Because when you see what comes out of a Tank Davis Ryan Garcia fight, where everybody watched the fight, a million, 200,000 pay-per-view buys, rival to a Mayweather fight. Just literally rival to a Mayweather fight. He's been retired for how long? 5 years?
About that.
Like he's ready to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's been retired for so long.
But he's not already.
Right. And this is the first time you've seen something like that in that long. So why doesn't these boxers want that type of money? Are they scared, or are these promoters trying to play chicken with each other?
I don't think any of the fighters are really scared. I think they're more scared of lose. Like I don't believe they're scared of the fighter. I know this is gonna sound weird. Scared of the fighter. I believe they're just more scared of losing. And so I know that sounds kind of weird, but
no, it makes sense because you got these fighters who are undefeated.
Yeah.
They want to go after that undefeated record, and you really can't.
Yeah.
You have to win. You have to fight the best to get to that. If you want to be the undisputed champion, you got to fight the best to be the best.
Yeah.
And that's what Mayweather did, and that's why he's at 49-50-0.
50-0.
Right? A world record holder in that recount, but you can't. Who's going to duplicate that?
Probably nobody, because look, I mean, these guys have to stop with the posturing, with the jockeying, and everything. Like, to just stop it. Be like the UFC. Give us the fight. Give the fans the fights that they want to see. That's one thing about Dana White, is he gonna give you the fights that you want to see. He'll match these guys up. It's gonna be like, boom, let's get it on. I know the UFC fighters don't get paid as much as the boxers and stuff like this and that, but we have to start. It's no reason why we shouldn't have had Crawford Spence already.
Right,
We should have already had it.
Exactly.
Well, what took Mayweather and Pacquiao so long? People he doping, he this, he that. If you're not doping, then why don't he take the test?
It was about the money.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I agree with Pacquiao. I was like, why do I have to take the test and nobody else got to take the test? Like,
right.
Why are you telling me I got to take the test? Man, kiss my, you know what? Go ahead with that, man. Like, come on. People say, well, if you're not doping, then take the test. That's not the point. Like, the point is you're telling him to do something nobody else is doing.
Right.
Come on, man.
And I think in this generation right now, you don't have a charismatic fighter. People are saying Devin Haney, he can't even sell out his own hometown. You have Crawford, who possibly can't sell out outside of his hometown. Earl Spence Jr., he fights, but only once a year. The only fighters that actually are garnering a lot of big crowds are fighters outside of America. As you know, when you come to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua and all those heavyweights. Most of the heavyweight division is not American. Last one was Deontay Wilder, and he's not fighting anymore. If he is, he's fighting somewhere in Alabama, somewhere no one knows about. But when it comes to actually getting these big names to fight each other, or at least fight more than once a year, you know, it's I think they're too dug into what they want, and they need to kind of, you know, make some kind of concessions so that other fighters can want to fight, or a promoter can even try to promote them. You know what I mean? You can't always fight in your hometown, which you're going to get, you know, 10,000 people in the seats. When if you go to Vegas, you get 20 or 30,000 people in the seats. You know, and get big pay-per-views. That's a huge problem when it comes to boxing right now.
And you're right. No, they don't have that. Mayweather was that one. Mayweather was that one guy. Mayweather and Pacquiao. Those were the two stars. Like,
right.
They would sell it out.
They would go to Vegas or go to New York or go to LA or go to Dubai or go anywhere because they knew, well, I'm the bag. I'm the bag. So I'm creating this, and I'm going to make this fight happen, and I'm going to make all this money for me and the opponent. You know what I mean? So I think that has to come out again, and maybe, you know, people are going against Mayweather with his promotion and all that, but he's really the leading promoter right now.
Yeah.
You know, obviously with the top fighter in Tank Davis, you see Ryan Garcia with Oscar De La Hoya. He didn't even show up to the press conference after the fight.
He probably. I mean, that was a wicked body shot. He probably.
No, I'm talking about Oscar De La Hoya. He didn't show up to the press conference. Ryan Garcia did. Okay. He talked and everything, and Bernard Hopkins and Bernard Hopkins was there, but Oscar De La Hoya was not. It's like, come on, stop being petty, and like you know what I mean. Like, if I don't get it, I really don't get it. Mm. You know, it's at this moment it's kind of childish right now when it comes to boxing. Like you said, when you have UFC giving their fans the best fights possible. Yeah. So it really makes no sense. And go back to the NFL draft real quick, because when we talked about where does Will Levis go in the first round, these past 3 picks, the Cowboys go with Mozzie Smith from Michigan, defensive tackle. The Jaguars go with Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, offensive tackle. The Bengals go Miles Murphy from Clemson, defensive end. And New Orleans Saints go Brian Brees from Clemson, defensive tackle. And we know the next 2 are the Eagles and Kansas City. Yeah. We know they're not picking quarterback.
They're not going to take them. Eagles are probably going to take a offensive lineman or a running back. I can see, or they might wait to take a lineman because Jason Kelsey's retired. This is probably going to be his last year. So they probably going to draft they may draft a center, and then to have him study under Kelsey for a season, and go from there. You know, Jason Kelsey Hall of Fame center, future Hall of Fame center, and we know they're not going to take quarterback Kansas City. So he's going to be a second round pick.
Right, and I just wonder what ESPN's talking about, because I'm telling you, there was so many pundits talking about he's going to be a first rounder, a top 5 pick, and he's not even going to be a first rounder. So it's kind of interesting how that goes. We're going to come right back, and we're going to talk more NFL draft, as this NFL draft special is live, and talk everything in between in the last week of sports. So keep it locked right here. It's the Keep 1 Million Show. Oh, I forgot about Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, we can talk about him next.
Yeah, I just remember.
I forgot about him too.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron freaking Rodgers.
wait. My job, they're gonna start cutting the hours, which is cool.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, because I work with the school. I work with the school year, so school year is coming up to an end. So it starts
What do you
going
do
out.
again?
I work for a photography company. I do data entry.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
they do the school picture sports and all that.
Right.
So as soon as school is done.
What y'all doing seniors?
Right now it's commencements. Yeah, I do a lot of commencement work and mailing out mailers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And still few team stuff come in, sports teams.
Oh, okay.
A few of those will come in and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, it's not a bad gig. Not bad gig.
We can come right back on right
Yep.
now.
Ready?
And we're back. Keep 1 Million show. I'm Dwayne,
Sean P.
and we are live with the NFL draft.
Yes.
If you haven't heard, the top picks, go with the top 5 picks. Bryce Young, number 1 to Carolina. Number 2, C.J. Stroud, Ohio State to the Texans. The Texans also moved up to number 3 and get Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama. The Colts get Anthony Richardson from Florida. The Seahawks get Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. And the Cardinals pick up Paris Johnson Jr., Ohio State offensive tackle. Now, the big thing is Will Levis is stuck in the green room right now. A potential first round pick, everyone was saying he was going to be a top 5, top 10 pick. It will be out of the first round, as the last 2 picks of the first round is the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And when we look at the second round, I mean, it's also kind of tough, as you have the Steelers, the first pick of the second round, the Cardinals after them, Detroit after them. They could possibly pick him up. The Colts, they're not going to pick him up. The Rams at the 5th pick of the second round, possibility. The Seahawks are the next team. That a long shot. The Raiders at 7 is a possibility. The Carolina Panthers, the 8th pick in the second round, that's not a possibility. The New Orleans Saints at 9 is a possibility, and Tennessee Titans at 10 is also a possibility. And Green Bay, the 11th pick in the second round, I don't think is a possibility, but it could be. So we can go possibly halfway through the second round, and Will Levis may not be picked up.
So you said
what are your thoughts on that?
You said they officially have him in the green room right now?
He was in the green room.
Okay.
They showed his face and everything.
All right.
He may not be in there anymore because, that's really mainly for first round picks. So he may be going to the hotel room after the first round.
Oh, no, I was asking that because I remember when Aaron Rodgers was getting passed by. He still ended up getting drafted in the first round, but he was getting passed by. They escorted him to the green room so he didn't have to sit there or whatever. And I think they made up a rule where I guess they started escorting the players off the floor. But to answer your question about Will Levis, a lot of these teams is coming up don't need quarterbacks. It makes no sense for them to draft a quarterback, especially if you already have a young quarterback. It would make no sense for Pittsburgh to draft him because they just drafted Kenny Pickett last year. And you can pick up a veteran quarterback to back him up. So there's no sense of that. So he might not, like you said.
They have Mitchell Trubisky backing him up.
Yeah, they have Mitchell Trubisky. So they don't need him. So he's not like late, middle second round, late second round.
Possibly third round.
Yeah.
Possibly third round. And they say his lack of decision making is the question. You know, he throws too many interceptions. I mean, I haven't seen a Kentucky quarterback actually get, you know, first round status. You know what I mean? That's not a football team, a football powerhouse that you go to grab a quarterback. You know what I mean?
Tim Couch was first round
Right.
pick like many years ago, and that didn't turn out too well. So
Exactly.
yeah, they're a basketball school. They're a basketball and track. Basketball and track.
Exactly.
So-
And moving on to, you know, the NBA, you have the Celtics beating the Hawks 120-120, closing that series out. They're going to face the 76ers in the second round.
Speaking of Boston, did you see Ime Udoka?
Yes, Ime Udoka
Yeah,
gets
Ime Udoka.
signed by Houston as their next head coach. I think
Yeah.
that's an excellent pickup for Houston,
Yeah.
as they're going to be in the Wembayama sweepstakes in the NBA draft. I thought he may be better off with Toronto, but this probably would be a better thing that he can actually, you know, coach young players. And they do have an okay young nucleus. And there's a rumor that after this season, James Harden may want to go back to Houston because he is a free agent after this season. So that could be something interesting, you know, if he goes to Houston with Ime Udoka there, being the leader of that team in his, you know, final years of his career. And also, the Raptors, they're looking for a coach, and they have asked to talk to Becky Hammond, who is the Las Vegas Aces coach, she won the WNBA championship. She was a longtime assistant coach in San Antonio.
Great Popovich, yeah.
And I think it's kind of it's a great thing. You know, we most likely will have the first woman head coach in in the major league, in a men's major leagues sport.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, those top players may not be there. Fred VanVleet may not be there. OG Anunoby may not be there, and also, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Actually, their best player right now. I think his contract is up as well.
Okay.
I just talked about him, but so it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but you know, having a woman coach in the NBA is first of ever.
A few years ago, Dawn Staley's name came up for the Sixers job. Little rumor there, you know, and she said it would be an honor to coach her hometown team and stuff like that. But it was just little rumors and everything. I would much rather, like, if Becky Hammond was to do this move, I would have had it much rather be a better situation than going to a team that's not going to be very good. I would have much rather seen her stay with San Antonio and take Pop's spot, or go to a team that was halfway decent, because you put her in a situation where the team's not very good, and then it almost looks like a publicity.
The thing is, that's true, but the thing is, if it goes right, you can actually have her have a true foundation.
Yeah, that's true too.
As far as bringing players she likes, bringing players, you know, to her coaching style and her style of basketball actually would be a San Antonio style of basketball, just kind of like how Steve Kerr over there in Golden State is. That's, to be honest with you, that is a San Antonio Spurs coaching style. Their defense, their offense is San Antonio. That's
very fluid.
He was a long-time assistant coach with San Antonio. So, same thing with Becky Hammond, getting those correct players, come from the draft, free agency, whatnot. I mean, these players may stay, may pick up, a new deal with Toronto and whatnot. So if they go with Becky Hammond, I would say they need to give her the best players possible, so she can implement her style of play. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if that happens.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
And
Very interesting.
and on the Western Conference side of it, you have the Lakers and the Grizzlies are playing 3-2 is going to be in LA tomorrow, and then the Warriors and Kings also playing tomorrow. Both of those series up 3-2 for the Warriors and Lakers respectfully. Now, if they both close it out, it will be Lakers versus Golden State in that second round. And then in the Western Conference, you also have Denver versus the Suns. Are the Suns right now the favorites to make it to the finals from the West?
They may be the favorites in a lot of people's eyes, but I don't know. I don't like betting against Golden State, and just because they're 4-time champions. They know how to do this. they know how to do it.
They do.
They know how to do it. I always looked at that move getting KD in Phoenix. I looked at that as more of a next year thing, but.
Right now you have Game 1 Saturday. Denver is a 2.5-point favorite for that first game.
It's in Denver. So.
And you have the Knicks and Heat on Sunday. Knicks are a 4-point favorite in that game. Game 7s could be Warriors Kings, Lakers Grizzlies on Sunday if necessary. And just announced Monday, Game 1, which is May 1st, Celtics 76ers in Boston. That starts May 1st. Game 2 of the Nuggets Suns is also on Monday. So the second round of the NBA playoffs is upon us. We will see who's going to be the best teams coming out of the East and the West. One last thing, the shock of the Bucks losing to Miami. What do you think is going to be their next thing they need to do? Because they're one of those teams that's getting old, like the Lakers. What do they need to do to get back into getting deep in the playoffs and getting to another championship?
The coach needs to get better at doing adjustments. Yeah, he needs to get better at doing adjustments, I can tell you that. I'm not saying fire the man. He just won the NBA championship like 2 seasons ago. Fire, I ain't saying that. And I never advocate for anybody being fired, even in the civilian world, even in our world. I don't gotta fire the person. No. People gotta be able to make money and feed their family. I ain't with that. But they do need to let him know that, hey, you gotta start making better adjustments. They need to get Giannis some help, some younger help. Just get him some younger help. I mean, every year they're getting older and older. We don't get younger.
Yes.
We don't get younger. We're not bending.
I mean, if you look at their starting lineup, it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's the oldest starting lineup in the league.
Oh, it is?
So that bench needs to get younger. Someone else, they need to get younger in the starting lineup as well, and more athletic. And their defense is straight. It's just their offense. And injuries did play a huge part with Portis and with Middleton. So, they can be back in it, but that bust off Jimmy Buckets, that's what happened to him. Going to the NFL draft real quick, Nolan Smith out of Georgia, offensive linebacker, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, the number 2 ranked offensive linebacker. in the draft, number 16th overall rank. He is 6'2", 238.
Kansas City just made they pick Felix and New Dyke Azuma
Out of Kansas State. I
out of
see that.
Kansas State.
Defensive end.
All right.
Ranked number 4. He's 6'3", 255 pounds. Out of Kansas State. So there you have it. The first round is over in the NFL draft. No Will Levis, who is right now ESPN's best available player. Quarterback out of Kentucky. So there you have it.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. Question: How do you think that's going to play out? Right before we go,
It is going to play out well. It's going to play out well. They
you
got.
think so?
Yeah, they got. They have Brees Hall. He's going to come back off the ACL injury. They have a good team, good offense. They have a great defense. I'm not going to say great. They have a really good defense. A really good defense. The only thing is the AFC, and the AFC is loaded. It's loaded. It's loaded in the AFC East. I mean, Miami. You can't overlook Miami. You can't overlook Buffalo.
Buffalo is a perennial playoff team right now.
Yeah. Some people haven't won the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Now in the draft, the Jets did pick up Iowa State's Willie McDonald, offensive linebacker, in that first round. So they're shored up their defense. We'll see if they grab a wide receiver in the second round or offensive lineman coming up in the next couple days. But when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, we have to see what he's going to do within those lines. Are we going to get the MVP Aaron Rodgers, or are we going to get the over-the-hill Andrew Rodgers for the New York Jets? What do you think?
I believe he's going to be rejuvenated. Aaron Rodgers. Now, what I'm curious is how he's gonna handle the New York media. I'm really curious about that.
Right.
It's no more being aloof and stuff like that. You know how big those big markets are, especially New York.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going. Those reporters are not going to stand for him being aloof and being that way.
I think it's all about wins.
Oh, yeah,
especially especially with the Jets. They haven't had a perennial playoff team since the 2010s, when you had the ground and pound.
Oh, Rex Ryan
and
Sanchez on the board.
Right. Remember they went to the AFC Championship game twice, and they haven't got to they haven't got to the Super Bowl since the 60s. You know what I mean?
I wasn't even born.
Right. So we got to really see how that works out, and if he works with the wide receivers in voluntary workouts and whatnot. So a lot is going to be going on in this NFL offseason. The NFL draft tomorrow is going to be the second round and the third round. Also, we're going to talk more NBA playoffs as the second round of NBA playoffs materializes even more. We're going to get into that next week. And everything in between in the sports world and more. Thanks, everybody, for listening. It's the Keep 1 Million Show. Peace. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Peace out.